Cut. What's up, everybody? Coach JV and
Kevin Anytime.
welcome back to our YouTube channel. We're very excited to be with you guys, and today we're going to talk about do your research. Man, we are in some crazy times right now in the world, and what we want to talk about is doing your research and really understanding the beautiful times you're in right now. I think a lot of people see it the opposite. I don't want to make an assumption, but what I see in my paradigm, in my world, is a lot of people think that there's only one way to look at things, and it's the media and what you're seeing and what's coming into your mind and what you've been taught since you were a young child. But what I want you to do is I want you to start to do your research. I want you to watch everything, listen to everything, and question everything. So one thing that I've done that's changed my life in the last since I was 35, I'm 40, so the last 9 years, holy cow, time's gone by fast. I started to question a lot of things, and I started to take it as face value and then do my own research. For example, I was in banking, and I went through executive banking school, CBA executive banking school, you can look it up. And when I was in banking school, I started to learn a lot about banking, and one of the things that came up was how to build a bank, right? So we had to build a bank to kind of give you the aspect as you go to school during the summertime, and so we go to this liberal arts college, and we were executives that flying from all over the world, and we go through this, it was like a certificate class to become an executive banker, I guess. You learned how to build a bank from the ground up, and our goal was to go through a simulation, build a bank from ATMs to employees to making money to lending out loans to getting deposit dollars. How much should you pay in interest in deposit dollars? So we had to build it from the ground up in a simulation to pass. Well, one of the things that I started to look at was, where does the money come from? I'm like, holy cow, well, it came from this thing called the Federal Reserve. And I'm like, okay. And so I had to get a tutor. I'm not the most intellectual person in the world, so I had to struggle. I struggled a little bit, so I got a tutor. And I was working with my tutor, and I kept asking, well, where does the money come from? I'm confused. And they'd chuckle a little bit, ha, ha, ha. And they would say, well, it comes from the Federal Reserve. And I thought the Federal Reserve was always part of the banking system or part of the government. What I found was the Federal Reserve is just a bunch of rich people that actually hand money to the government and to the banks. I thought that was kind of weird. I'm like, okay, that seems kind of weird. So these people are rich, and they give money to the banks that lend money to the people. We pay interest back to the bank from these rich people. And I'm like, that's really interesting. I'm like, well, where does their money come from? Well, they said, well, they just print the money. And I said, what do you mean they just print the money? And so at the Federal Reserve, they just print the money. Ever since Nixon and the gold standard was nixed, so Nixon, no pun intended, nixed the gold standard, got rid of the gold standard, and it wasn't backed by anything, so the dollar wasn't backed by gold anymore. As they printed money, it became deflationary, right? And the money, right now, we're literally experiencing it right now. The American dollar is just deflating rapidly. So that's when I started to question everything. So I started to question everything I learned in school. I'm like, why did I learn anything about money in school? I learned how to go to school, get a job, work for somebody, get in debt, pay interest, retire, to die. That's what I really learned. Honestly, I didn't learn entrepreneurship, I didn't learn leadership, I didn't learn how to deal with tough situations. I just learned about history, that some of the history isn't even right. So I really started at 35 years old to open up my awareness and start to question everything. Now, I'm not trying to impose a belief system on you. What I'm asking you to do is to, during these times right now, is it plandemic? I keep saying plandemic. Whatever the fuck it's called, this shit we're going through right now. The crazy shit we're going through, the riots, the freaking coronavirus, the crazy shit we're going through. And here's another thing, it's all perspective. Look at it from this perspective. You're going through something in his history. This is amazing that you actually get to go through this. You get to experience this. We're going to be sitting with our grandkids going, well, back in 2020, the coronavirus hit and we got locked down. We get to tell these stories, but there's going to be two types of storytellers, the victim and the victor. Now, the victor is the one that does the research. The victor is not the one that stares at a computer screen or their phone looking at CNBC and all the news stations and taking in information and taking it as truth. The victor actually does the research. So a couple things to just think about. I'm going to spark you a little bit. I'm going to talk about this on the podcast. Why hasn't Warren Buffett bought one stock this year? He hasn't bought one stock this year. That's really interesting. He also pulled all his money out of the airlines, and maybe if I'm speaking out of school, you can comment below, whatever. It's stuff that I've researched, right? It may not be exactly 100% right, but this is research that I've seen factual, like I said, is right. So they took his money out of cruise lines, took his money out of airlines. So why is he doing that? And if the 1% we're listening to in the news, right? That's where the media, they're owned by the 1%. Are they going to tell us their secrets on how to become billionaires and millionaires? Then if that's true, then why is about 97% of the population living paycheck to paycheck? And I think it's 1 out of every 10 people maybe has $1,000 in savings just in case of emergency. So if we're all supposed to follow the masses, then why are we all struggling? Then why are we all just over broke? Then why are we all working for somebody that we hate? So I want to open up your awareness to start to question things. This is a Warrior Academy. We teach people to open up their mind to their possibilities. We're not your coaches. You're your own coach, and open up your awareness. So I ask that you do your research. The beautiful thing is you have this phone right here. And in 1980s, when I grew up, when somebody said Tide said they were the best detergent, guess what? They're the best detergent. I had no way to go against that. I had no way to look that up. Now, if Tide says they're the best detergent, you can actually go on this phone and you can look at peer reviews. You can look at you can dive deep into the actual ingredients in it. If they say that a vaccine is going to be good for you, you can actually go and look at the freaking study of the vaccine and go deep into the things. And when you read them, you'll be like, holy shit, I'm never taking a vaccine. Just my opinion. I'm never going to give my kids, if there's a vaccine that comes out for the coronavirus, I am not giving it to my kids. I've already been doing research on some of the stuff that they're coming out with, and I'm like, no, heck no, I'm not putting that in my kids' bodies. So these are things that you just want to understand, that you need to listen to everything, question everything. Question us. If we say something, fact check it. Call us out if we're wrong. That's the beauty behind this, and that's the point behind this. Not to scare you, but we want to be prepared, right? And to have an abundant life. Do your research and be prepared, because warriors, it's going to get worse before it gets better. That's a fact. That's how life works. Within the yin and yang symbol, within the white is black, and within the black is white. There is contrast in everything, but it always storm gets stronger or harder before it becomes calm. So we have more coming at us. There's going to be a financial reset. I'm just calling it right now on this YouTube channel. There's going to be a financial reset. You're going to wake up and be like, holy shit. What just happened to me? Holy crap. There's going to be very, very rich, and there's going to be very, very poor. It happened in the 1920s. Do you realize that humans follow patterns? It happened in the Babylonian times, 1820, 1920, 2020. Great financial crash. It's going to be greater than the Great Depression. There's going to be very, very impoverished people coming through this. So all I'm saying is do your research. Research everything. You have the ability, and come up with your own knowledge, come up with your own future, build and shape your future through your mind. We have done it for the last 14 years, specifically the last 3 years. We're sitting here in the worst economic times in the world. We paid off our investors. Boom, boom. We paid off debt. We're literally set poised to build a multi-million-dollar company in the worst economic times in the world. Why? Because we questioned everything and we went opposite of the masses. Truth. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to have Kev show his perspective of it, but I've been questioning everything for 9 years, and that's why I'm sitting here right now. That's why I had the gut feeling to leave banking. I'm not saying bankers are bad. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying my personal opinion was it didn't make sense to me. It did not make sense, and it didn't seem right to me. So I left to question everything, to follow my own path, to follow my gut feeling, and here I am now, long hair, beard, warrior coach, and helping over 400 people the last 2 years open up their mind to the awareness of the possibilities they have as a human being, and teaching people that shit, it doesn't have to be the way that your grandparents did it. It doesn't have to be the way that your parents did it. I encourage my daughter to become an entrepreneur. There's a battle that we have back and forth. I know that, her mom probably wants her to go to school. I want her to be an entrepreneur, and I'm going to let her do whatever the fuck she wants. To be honest with you, as long as it's not catastrophic, doesn't hurt people, and she's being a good human, I'm going to let her embody who she is and let that blossom and let that become the true innate thing that she brings to this earth. And I believe that. My daughter has different fingerprint and different DNA than me. Maybe the same genes, or maybe a little same things in the genes, but she has her own special talent, and I believe we're supposed to come here and evolve together. So not to scare you, it's going to get worse, but you shouldn't be scared. And how you're not scared, you get prepared and you research warriors. So if you're going to get locked down again, which we are, I guarantee in October we're going to get locked down. Save these videos. I predicted some stuff on my podcast. I said there's going to be an economic crash. Pretty simple to predict whatever happens every 10 years, right? I didn't think it was going to be anything like this. I didn't predict the coronavirus and all this crazy shit going on, but and it's serious. The stuff is serious, but stay the hell away from it. Don't go downtown and riot. Don't even go peaceful riot, because if you're trying to be peaceful, there's going to be non-peaceful people around there. So just get yourself out of the situation and protect your mind, warriors. So do your research. And beautiful thing is, we actually just got a bunch of podcast equipment in. We're actually going to start doing interviews with me, Coach B, Kevin, and we're going to be bringing new perspective in. And I'm going to be asking some pretty heavy questions. I'm going to probably make people a little uncomfortable, but we're going to talk openly on the Coach JB podcast and just opening up awareness. That's all we're here to do, is share with you that you have the ability to create whatever life you want. We're actually doing it right now. It's pretty remarkable, and there will be books written about us. There will be books written about us in regards to what we've done, manifestation. There's a vision board right here. My vision board's right here. We are literally manifesting our own reality, because a thought does become a thing. Kevin, anytime.
Sure does. Man, yeah. So my stepdad used to always tell me that too, man. It's funny because he used to always say, man, do your research, Kev, do your research. And I'm gonna take it from a physical aspect. There's a lot of things going on out there. There's a lot of ailments and diagnosis and all of this stuff, right? So I had spoke to somebody not too long ago, and they were just telling me about like all of their ailments and everything they were diagnosed with and blah blah blah. And I was like, do you feel like that's the problem? Do you feel like that's you? Like, do you feel like that is their diagnosis is correct, I should say? And they were like, well, I don't know. I went to the doctor. That's what they told me. That's what you go to the doctor for, right? And I'm like, that's interesting, man. With stuff that goes wrong with inside you, my personal belief is that you are the best doctor for yourself. You can go to a doctor, and sometimes there are things that, symptomatic things you can get some prescriptions from, and it can absolutely help you a lot. Science definitely can help you to get better. But there's a whole lot that we can do on our own. And I think people miss that because, it's easy to kind of go to the doctor and be like, I'm at the doctor and whatever they say is law. And I don't know, man. Nowadays, it just doesn't seem like that's the more beneficial thing to do, in my opinion, in my perception. I really think first people should really just dive into themselves and try and figure out what could be causing these things in your body to happen. And I mean, to be honest, y'all, and which is why I gravitate to this so much, man. This program that we have, the Academy program, y'all, you have to understand it starts first up here, and then everything else follows, man. And the way that JB lined out the majority of that system is to get your mind prepared first. And like for instance, like for mental ailments and stuff like that, like some of that stuff, it's like, okay, no, you cannot get around it because there's a deficiency like up inside the brain, and we barely understand the brain right now. And some of the prescriptions and the science that they use actually does help. However, when it comes to things that I feel are very vague topics like depression and I don't know, even ADHD and ADD and stuff like that, those are kind of, I don't know, those are kind of very broad topics as far as being able to actually get a prescription. Like, you can think about it like, okay, I can get a prescription for this, or is there a source of this issue? And that's where I feel like, doing your research comes into play, because if I go to the doctor and I'll just say, hey, I'm experiencing this and I'm anxiety and blah, 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 and they say, okay, well, here, take this. But instead of being like, okay, well, what have I been eating? What have I been watching? What have I been doing? If you start there, because I think we all sometimes think that you know, just us looking at the phones or whatever, it has no effect on us. And that's, I don't know, that's really, really, really not the case. I really believe that is a fact. That is not the case. Whatever we keep inputting into our minds, it literally starts shaping how we feel and how we react to people and stuff like that. So it's, to me, it's a matter of doing your own personal research. And an actual physical thing that I've gone through is I was working at a bank and I was in the call center and I was eating like crazy, man. They had a what do you call those, like a not a bar but a cafeteria. They had a cafeteria where they would cook every day. I'm literally going every morning. And there was no cap. They had big buckets of stuff. You could just grab it.
It's free?
So no, you have to pay for it.
Gotcha.
But right, if it was free, I'd really be in that shape, man. But I'm scooping like eggs. Like I'm getting like at least 2-3 scoops of eggs. I'm grabbing like 4 pieces of bacon. I'm grabbing some sausage on top of that because it tastes great, right? I'm grabbing sausage. I'm grabbing biscuits. I start my day off, I'm having this huge, I'm even grabbing a naked juice. Think about how many calories I was taking in. I was gorging on food, right? And it came to a point where I actually was sitting there at my desk. This literally happened. I was sitting there at my desk and I was about to sneeze and I held in a sneeze and I was like, and I developed a hernia by my pelvic area. And it hurted so bad. It was like right below the belt line to where I had to, like right then and there, I had to loosen up my belt and everything. I was like, what the heck? And I was feeling down there and I'm like, dude, what is that? And it was like just this massive lump. And I'm like, what the heck? So what I started doing, I started looking it up. I'm like, okay, well, let me look it up. So I started looking it up and it was like, yep, hernia, this is what it is. You know, the tissue broke through the wall or whatever and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the heck? So I go to the doctor and he's like, yep, gonna have surgery. Gotta have surgery. Like, that was just it. It was just, there was nothing else. It was like, gotta have surgery, man. Gotta have surgery. And I was like, dude, I do not want any surgery down there. Like, I just don't. I was like, I do not want any surgery down there. That just does not, I don't think we even know those parts well enough to be able to do surgery. But I went home, man. I really, really thought about it. I was like, oh my God, am I going to have surgery? And I heard so many different horror stories about it and stuff like that. So I just went deeper. I was like, well, let me start looking up, is there a way to fix this, like, without surgery? I'm going on YouTube, I'm looking up, you know, Google stuff, I'm searching, and I literally found a couple cats on there that were like, nope, don't go get surgery, you can heal it on your own. And I'm like, this is wild. So I just was like, all right, well, what do I have to lose? If I have to have surgery, then I gotta have surgery. But if I can naturally try and get rid of this, that would be really great, right? So and you can YouTube this. I looked on YouTube, man. There was like some stretches. It was basically saying that where I had it, I just developed a really, really weak core, and like my lower abdomen, it was just really weak. And obviously, I was sitting there, I'm gorging food, I'm talking on the calls all day. I'm sitting there. I got everything ergonomic. I made it as comfortable as possible. I got a sit-stand desk. I got a wireless. I'm literally just dude. It was like I didn't have to barely move the 8 hours I was there. So that contributed to it. And but going through the YouTube stuff, it didn't happen right away. But I probably went through like the workouts and the strengthening and everything they did for a good month, and it went away, dude. I was totally blown away because, one, the doctor literally immediately only said that was the only option, and two, I had no idea that you can actually just do the research yourself and really kind of figure stuff out on your own. And so that totally changed my mind on a lot of different stuff. So that's why I came up with this topic, because, you know, with the ADD and the depression and stuff, there are probably other sources and causes that we ourselves have, got into. And yeah, you might like the crime shows, or you might like, looking at all the crazy stuff on TikTok or YouTube or whatever the case may be. But is it affecting you?
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to really think about it, man. And that's just the short of it. Like, if you go deep into, okay, how do I fix these problems, and start researching a lot, because a lot of people are online. There's forums. You can look at other people's experiences and try it out. Just go ahead and try some of those things out, and you will be surprised. Because I was super surprised about the hernia, and I never had that problem again. Like, I make sure my core is tight, and I do as much as I can. It literally subsided and went away. I don't feel it no more. So
yeah, it's important, because think about this. Like, when you research, for example, you brought up ADD, right? So I did a TikTok about this. I got a lot of feedback around it. So one of the things that parents do is right when their kids wake up, especially moms, right? Moms are innately, they're nurturing, right? So right when they wake up, we think, the kid needs breakfast. The word breakfast means break fast. It doesn't mean pancakes. It doesn't mean eggs. It doesn't mean Pop-Tarts. It doesn't even mean toast. It means break fast. And so what we do is, our kids had junk food the night before. They wake up in the morning. They have plenty of fuel in their system. And then we think they need breakfast, because what we've been taught, you're supposed to eat breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day, which my belief system is not true. The most important meal of the day is the break fast meal. Perspective, right? Break fast meal. So if you're giving your child a Pop-Tart and they have energy in their system already, you're literally dropping glucose or fuel on top of fuel, and it's going to spike their insulin. It's going to make them tired. That will cause behavioral issues. And then we're like, oh, you need a snack. You need lunch. So what I do with my son is, when he wakes up in the morning, I use the example on Sunday. So we were up in Flagstaff. We're up north. We woke up around 7:30. We got packed up in the hotel. And I said, how are you guys doing? You guys hungry? And I shouldn't even have said that, but I did say, and they're both like, no, we're good. And because they know I will feed them when they're hungry. They're not going to starve to death. So we drove for, till 11 o'clock, and finally my son's like, I'm hungry, Dad. So I fed him when he was hungry, and his first meal was fruit and some type of protein. Totally stable, no behavioral issues. Then when I want him to take a nap, I loaded him up with some sugar and a treat. His insulin spiked. We wrestled around a little bit, we utilized the energy, and boom, he crashed and went to bed. So the food is fuel, right? So your belief system is, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Let's load our kids up with a Pop-Tart before they go to take a test. All you're doing is spiking their insulin, putting a bunch of sugar on, and they're falling asleep during the test. Maybe you should let them fast through the test. Give them fats and protein, if you're going to give them anything in the morning, or have them go to bed with fats and protein in their system. Their mind or their brain is fat and water. So you can heal. Of course, we know doctors have their role, and they have a very important role. But like the old generation, like my dad, it's like he takes 9 different medications or something like that. It's like 9 different medications. Like, do you even know what all these medications do? When he could work out, he could fast, and we have tons of people. Just recently, we had 4 different people in our program that have come off all their medication. Not from us telling them, we don't tell them to come off their medication. They go to their doctor and they test their blood, and they're like, whoa, you shouldn't be on this. It's making them feel worse because they're on the medication. Blood sugar medication, depression medication, things like that, because they started moving their physical body, they started breathing and meditating, and they started eating natural foods and fasting, and their whole paradigm shifted. So what we're asking you to do is just question everything. Question us. Question our belief system. And do your research. You are now in a time right now where you don't have to be imprisoned and sitting there staring at the media and making decisions based on the media. Make decisions based on facts. You can go facts. So like, for example, I'll bring it up again. Why has Warren Buffett not bought one stock this year? Why do you think? Because you follow this system and you know how the banking system works, and you know that you're supposed to go to school, get a good job. Nothing wrong with going to school. I'm not saying that. But most people go to school, spend $120,000 to $200,000 on education to work for somebody making $30,000 a year who doesn't even have an education, who's an entrepreneur, who's making millions and millions of dollars employing people. So it's all about perspective. It's opening up your awareness, right? And so we talked this morning on our live about following a system and sticking with it, right? So like Coach B, he likes the Dave Ramsey system. He likes the cash flow system. I'm more Robert Kiyosaki, assets, using the bank's money to build or to create assets, right? So getting rid of liabilities, so anything that's a liability. So I believe in renting your house and buying rental properties for people to live in, because if you want a nice house, rent it, let someone else buy the $1 million home and rent it, and you can move out of it within a year. People who are entrepreneurs, who are millionaires, are always moving. We're always shaking. Maybe we're going to have a corporate office in California soon. Who knows, right? Another thing too is another bit of advice is rent luxury, return it. For example, we went up to North. I drive a little Hyundai car, just a little regional car. I wanted to have my kids have a great time this weekend. We wanted something comfortable. We rented a big ass nice SUV, spent $700 for the weekend, and I got to return it, not make the $700 payment every single month. Rent luxury, buy assets. Rent luxury, buy assets. If you want to impress your friends, rent a freaking SUV for the weekend, take them out, and then return that shit. You want a boat? Rent the boat for the weekend, return that shit. Let them clean it. Why make the payment every single month when you're so strapped and worried, working 16 hours a day, not even able to utilize those things? So these are just small paradigm shifts that you can do to completely create peace within your life. So I think that's it. Do your research, guys. Research everything. Question everything. Listen to podcasts. Develop a belief system that you believe in that will benefit your life. And last thing I'll say is, if you have a belief system and it's not moving you forward in your life, you might want to question it a little bit. If your family keeps running into financial debt, or your relationships keep falling apart, is your belief system working for you? Because as humans, we've recognized this heavily coaching so many people. As humans follow the same pattern over and over again. Think about it. This happened in 1920. 100 years later, we're going through the exact same thing. Does that tell you something? The rich get richer. The rich aren't going to tell you the secrets. We're going to know the secrets, and we're going to teach people as we move along in some of the things that we're doing financially that are going to create generational wealth. We're doing things right now financially that's going to create generational wealth. We're not financial advisors, though. We just do our fucking research, deep research. We connect the dots and go, okay, this CEO moved here, this person moved here, this person did this, Warren Buffett's not buying stocks right now. Okay, what are the billionaires doing? I'm sure as hell not going to do what the masses are doing, because the masses are broke. And so we're going to go this way and follow what the billionaires are doing. And you can research all this stuff, guys. So question everything, research everything, and build your own belief system. Don't follow us. Create your own, and just let us know how we can support you.
All right.
Love you guys.
That's it. Love you guys.
Bye.